What's up, guys? You know who it is. Marcus J. Jackson with another episode of Live Life. All right. So, tonight we're going to be talking about a message to young men, or my message to young men. Um, I had a very surprising conversation with a young man today, a young man and his father. Um, it is one of those situations where, um, it's very unfortunate that these things happen the way that they do. A lot of times, we have situations as we get ourselves in situations as younger people. We call them mistakes, or we call them unfortunate events, or whatever you want to name them. But ultimately, they're lessons that that have to be learned. And unfortunately, they're on our end, on the outside looking in. They're very traumatic, and you think the worst of people, and so on and so forth. But a lot of times, as young men, you are very vulnerable when it comes to to dealing with females that are of age. And this message is particularly for, I want to say, anywhere from 14, 14 on up. My young man that I mentor, and I spoke with a young man that I mentor and his father, and he is a very promising athlete, and he has got into a situation where there's some domestic violence going on, and there's also hold on 1 second. I need to edit this, and I also need to post my there we go, save. All right. So got himself involved in a situation with with a young lady, and turns out there's a suicide attempt, and there was also some domestic violence involved. There was also some potential sexual assault involved. All because he was the designated driver in this situation. And weekend events happen. Come Monday morning, the story comes out, and all this good stuff. So I had an opportunity to talk with him today, and I'm just going to cover some things that are very important as young men. For those of you that may not have a big brother, or you may not have a father figure around to share these types of things with you. So I'm gonna touch on some of those things today. One, as a let me put my golly. Hold on 1 second. I gotta get my information on there. So if you need to take time to go get you some tea, go grab me some tea right quick. We're gonna sit down and have a chit chat real quick. Ah, boy. Let me see. Where could you be? Give me just a moment. We're gonna get it rocking and rolling. All right, 18. There we go. Okay. All right. So I got the resources in there. So if you are in a suicide situation or you're feeling suicidal at the moment, please get you some help immediately. Call 911. They have resources available to you and get you some help immediately. All right. If you have a domestic violence situation going on, by all means, call 911. If you need professional help and or assistance, you know, and you're unable to call 911, reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. It's 1-800-799-7233. The website is also there, thehotline.org. If you are in a situation where you need to reach out to the professionals for suicide prevention, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 1-800-273-8255. They also have a 24/7 live chat. It's suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Again, suicidepreventionlifeline.org. If you want to reach out to me, please feel free to do so at 469-626-7486. I make myself available every night between the hours of 12 a.m. To 2 a.m. So I'll do maybe 30 minutes to an hour of video. Then I'm available from whenever I finish the video to 2. You know, if you want to talk tonight, I'll be glad to talk to you as long as I possibly can, till you fall asleep or till I fall asleep. And, you know, and it's all in the effort to bring awareness to domestic violence and suicide awareness. I had my own situation with a buddy of mine who I spent some time in the Army with, committed suicide. And, you know, that's one of the things that motivated me to do the Live Life series on my Facebook page. You can also like, comment, subscribe on my YouTube page. It's Marcus J. Jackson. So subscribe there. I would greatly appreciate your support on that. You can also email me at marcusjjackson@hotmail.com. I return all my emails, inboxes, and voicemails. So if I don't answer the phone, please leave me a message. I would be very thankful for that. And that way, if I don't get back to you, shoot me a text message. All right. Because most of the times I can talk. I mean, I can message, but I can't talk. So with that being said, let me go into my first point here. As a potential athlete, it's almost as if you have a target on your back. Okay. Especially if you are very, very close to going pro, or you're very, very close to going to college, or you know, if you're making a name for yourself. And I mean, not only athletes, but if you're making a name for yourself, you know, maybe you're an entrepreneur, a young entrepreneur, and you know, or you're just a young professional, and you are, you know, living your best life. You have to understand that not everybody is looking out for your own good. Okay? Not everybody is excited about you doing good or doing well as you are. Okay? And I really need for that to hit home, and I really need you to take what I'm saying in to the best of your ability, because what I think is happening is we genuinely feel you know, empathetic or sympathetic to these people around us, and we call them friends and or associates and so on and so forth. But a lot of these people don't mean us any good whatsoever. All right. So I'll just explain to you a little bit about the situation with this young man. He is like I said, he's a very, very well sought after athlete, and he got into a situation where he was the designated driver with a group of friends, and the group of friends hooked up with some females, and one of the young ladies was very, very intoxicated. I don't know if it was drugs or alcohol, and she he ended up having to, because he was a dating age driver, end up having to take her home. All right. Now, keep in mind, you ask yourself, well, hey, well, Marcus, why is that so bad? It doesn't sound like it's something bad. What's the big deal? Well, here's the thing. It turns out that this young lady is not even she's not even a part. She doesn't even go to the school. She's a friend of one of the friends, or a cousin of one of the friends. Okay. And she was in town visiting. I'm guessing, she was college age as well. However, he ended up taking her home. She's the cousin or the friend from out of town, and somehow he ends up getting stuck with her and having to take her home. So, she gets home or whatever. She doesn't remember how she got there. She doesn't remember what happened and so on and so forth. But she just remembers this one particular young man that brought her home. And, she said some things that happened to her, in the process. And she remembers the last person that she was with was this young man. And let me say this to you. You do not get to take the drunk girl home. Okay? That is something that's not part of your MO anymore. All right? There's certain things that when you become a professional, or when you become a college student, and you're your priorities are different. Okay? I'm not saying, live a boring life, don't go to parties or anything like that. But you have to realize, when you go to these parties and you're around these types of women or these types of people, they're going to have a tendency to want to latch on to you, right? They see you as a dollar sign. They see you as there's a bullseye on your back, all right? Because they know the potential of you making big money is great. So a lot of younger women, because of just being simply naive, right, think that, one of the most amazing things to happen is they, end up dating a professional athlete. They get pregnant by a professional athlete, never have to work a day in their life, right? And believe it or not, it happens more times than you think. All right, it happens a lot. And a lot of times it doesn't end up the way, you think it does. You end up, getting child support or having to pay child support, for years, for 18, 20 something years, for somebody who actually tried to set you up. All right. She said that she accused a young man of beating on or handling her rough, and like I said, there was also, some alleged sexual assault allegations as well. And because of this ordeal, it was reported that she, had committed, not committed, but attempted suicide or threatened that she was going to kill herself because of what happened. Okay. So, of course, the authorities got involved, and, the young man he stands accused at this very moment. And I, like I said, you don't get to take whenever a situation like this comes, I want you to think, okay, it's you hanging out with the fellas, you're the designated driver, what have you. If you're under 21, you probably shouldn't be drinking anyway. Okay, let me just put that out there. You probably shouldn't even be chauffeuring anybody. If you are old enough to drink, you probably shouldn't be chauffeuring around nobody else that is fucking under 21. Okay, that should never happen. You should never agree to be the designated driver for something like that, because that shit is going to always end up bad. Okay, it's going to always end up bad in some way, shape, form, and fashion. You may be able to get away with that shit for week in, week out, but eventually something's going to backfire. All right, and it's not going to work out in your favor. So I want you to think about that. First of all, you're voluntarily putting yourself in a situation where you're leaving yourself open and vulnerable for things to happen. Okay, for unfortunate things to happen, bad things to happen, quote unquote. So you put yourself in a position where you're the designated driver for a couple of, people that are underage, and just out of the blue, some young lady pops up from out of town, and, you just so happen to be one of the top, highly sought after athletes in the, in the state. Right. And it just, I don't know, I don't know. I could just be overthinking it, but I really feel strong that, there was some things behind that I felt like, what was said versus what was reported, what the young man's account was. And, I don't know. I wasn't there, but I just want you to be aware that these things happen. So don't put yourself in situations that these things can happen. And yeah, he did the right thing. His heart was in the right place. His intentions were well. He meant no harm to the young lady whatsoever. From his account, everybody was like, "Hey man, take her home. Just take her back to our barracks. She has the key card or the fob or whatever they use to get in the building, and she knows where to go." So this young man literally drives, he says that he drove her to her dorm. She got out the car, used the key fob to go in the door, and he never saw her again. She never saw him again. That was it. But from that ride home, this is where all of these horrific things took place. And, now this young man is in a situation where his career as a ball player may be affected. His academic achievements may be affected. So if nothing else, all of that is put on hold at the minimum. Or he could come through this with flying colors and, get through it, and, nothing will ever be said of it. Let me go to the chat real quick. Trina Wood says, where was her friend she was visiting? Exactly. Why didn't she bring her home, or was she not around? And if not, why was she with the guys she didn't know? Trust me, I ask these questions, and, it's the friend is in one place. Everybody was drinking, and he said everybody told him to take her home, so that's what he did. He said he didn't think twice about it. He was just like, all right, I'll take her home, and dropped her off at the dorm, and he drove back to the party and hung out with them. So that's my thing. Okay, if you're and you can't really, and as parents, you can't, of course we can't follow our children around everywhere, especially when they get in that 18 to 25 range. They're going to do things that are, that we would deem just completely unnecessary, right? But there's only so much you can do. But as a young man, you have to be aware of what is going on around you. You have to be aware of your surroundings at all times, especially at parties and on a college campus or anywhere there's going to be a potential for something like this to happen, because it's just not a coincidence to me. It's just not a coincidence that, Miss Woods was saying, where was the friend that she came down or she came to visit? How come she couldn't take her home? Why did he, well, of course, she was drinking and everybody was drinking and he was the only one who wasn't drinking. So, and I'm just like, well, I don't know. It was, all of it was just too convenient for me. But what I really want you to take away from this is that at no point should you allow yourself to be in a situation like this. All right. And I know, a lot of us, or especially those of us that were raised in the South, we've been taught to be hospitable towards women and, help out in any way we can and so on and so forth, for the most part. And, and the friend, and the funny thing about it was the friend knows the young man, and she, he asked her, would he, kind of say something on his behalf. And she was like, well, I don't really know what happened. You did take her home, or she did ride in the car with you, or you were the last person with her. Like, as if she didn't know that. Yeah, I don't know. Like, and I know that was either her friend or her cousin or whatever, and she probably wanted to take up for her. But that's what you have to understand, that when something like that happens, the people who you think are your friends aren't really your friends. They're not going to stick up for you when the authorities get involved, or they think that you did something to their friend or their family member. Okay. So all of that friendship that you held so near and dear to your heart, because these are my friends. We've been to college together, and we were freshmen together, and we went to high school, and we lunched together, and we have English together and all that good stuff, laugh and joke with you. But when it comes down to it, it's like, really? He asked her, hey, can you talk to your friend and tell her, I wouldn't do anything like that. I wouldn't even, all I did was take her home or whatever. And she has this, from what he told me, she has this, nonchalant posture about her, saying, hey, I don't really know, my friend says this happened, so I'm not going to go against my friend, so yet and still you got so drunk to the point to where you couldn't keep up with your friend, or, I'm just like, I don't know, a lot of irresponsibility. And I just want you to be aware of things like this, the potential of things like this to happen. And, for this young man to be put in a situation like that, or to allow himself to be put in a situation like that, I think it was, one, very irresponsible. I think he should have taken a more proactive approach. And to all you young men out there, please take a proactive approach on the type of entertainment you decide to involve yourself in. All right. I know they have some kind of rule if you're an athlete, a curfew or something like that. And like I said, I know you're going to go to parties, but go by yourself, or make sure wherever it is, you're not responsible for anybody there. Okay. You're hopefully at this point, you're not a parent or anything like that. You don't have any, school age children at this point. So I would, hold on one sec. Let me go to the chat real quick. Trina Wood says, if everyone was drinking and he wasn't, how did the rest of the drunk people get home? However, she should have stuck with who she knew. It sounds set up, in my opinion. Right. So, I just, like I said, there's one of those situations where you just wish you were there. Like I said, I wish I was there, to say, hey, you don't get to take the drunk girl home. All right. That's make that a rule. All right. You do not take anybody drunk anywhere. All right. If push come to shove, you can call them up, call the police, call the campus police and say, hey, I don't know. I don't want to be implemented in anything, but this is the situation. Call security, call the RA, call her friend, right? Call her friend and tell her friend to come walk with her back home, or tell her to call somebody to come and pick her up. But you don't take them nowhere. All right. As a young male, you don't take a female anywhere from a party that you don't know that's drunk. All right. It's just not what you do. It is not a good look. It's not for you to do. The responsible thing to do to cover your ass and make sure she is in the safest position possible is to call her some help. Okay? Call somebody for her. Say, hey, I can make a phone call for you in front of everybody, right? Or tell her friend to have somebody call her, or whoever she's there with, call her a ride or something. But you do not take the drunk girl home. It is absolutely forbidden from this day forward. All right? Especially that you don't know her. You don't know this lady from Adam. You don't know where she's from. You don't know why she's there, but all of a sudden she just wants to come hang around with you, and you just so happen to be one of the top-notch players, top-notch ball players in the school. Something's not right with that. Something's not right with that. So it would behoove you, as a professional, as a college student, as anybody, you run a very, very high risk of allegations, okay, negative allegations coming down on your part when you involve yourself in things like that, okay? So do not, if you don't know them, they don't get to get in the car with you drunk, because they can say anything or they can do anything. And the rate we're going now, all women have to do is just say that these things happen. All right. They just have to say it. If they just say it, then we're in trouble. I mean, we're in trouble. So you have to be mindful of the position that you're in. Okay. Have to be mindful of the position that you're in. And I'm not saying every situation like that is wrongful or they're accusing and anything like that. But just because this young man is somebody that I am close to, and I know his father, I know, I feel like I know what kind of guy he is, and I know his father's a great guy, and this is this is just one of those things that I really, really hope I hope that it blows over, and I hope nothing ever comes of it. Now, on the other side of that, I want you to, if you are in a situation with a domestic violence situation with a female, okay, and or sexual assault situation with a female, or potential, all right. If you feel like it is getting to the point where you are going to snap or put your hands on her or go off on her or yell at her, you need to vacate the premises, all right? Or you need to have her leave or call her a ride or whatever. But you need to separate yourself from that situation, okay? Because you don't need to haul off and hit nobody. Okay, especially if you are a very sizable young man. All right, if you're big, tall, you yelling could be, it can be fearful and intimidating, and it can make, a tiny little female appear to be one of the most horrific victims that you have ever seen in your life. So you have to be mindful of the dynamic that you're dealing with. All right. So it's not you just got to be mindful. Okay. You got to be mindful of that. So if you feel like the situation is about to escalate, that's when you remove yourself. That's when you You call if you know you've been drinking or you had a little something to drink, you probably need to call yourself a ride. Okay? Call whatever kind of backup plan, whatever kind of safety plan you have. You need to call that buddy that say, hey, buddy, I'm about to go kick it tonight. You got my back if I need you to come pick me up. Yes, hey, work something like that out before, right? Because a lot of us, we realize we got these crazy ex-girlfriends or crazy ex-boyfriends that we're probably going to see at the party, or we're probably going to see at the club, all right? Or we're probably going to see at a networking event, and we know things are probably going to go south, right? You got a pretty good idea. A lot of times you might feel like, oh, well, I didn't know this was going to happen. I was totally blindsided. Yeah, you knew. That might have been an inkling, right? You went there knowing that something was probably going to go down, right? So always make sure you got a backup plan. Make sure you got a ride. Make sure, so you can remove yourself from the situation, all right? Because you don't need to be in a domestic violence situation at all, okay? That's just not something that you need. Not as a professional college student or, a potential professional athlete. You want to make sure that you just keep your nose clean. All right, just keep your nose clean. You don't want anything like that. You want a stress-free life, okay? And this is the years, the 2 or 3 years before you're about to blow up or make it big, or your dreams are really starting to come through, is the most challenging time. That's where you have to stay the most focused. That's where you have to get, you really got to dig down and entrench deep, right? You got to cut out the partying. You got to cut out the bad eating. Got to cut out the bad habits and start replacing those with good routines and good habits, right? Things that are going to serve you, things that are going to benefit you, right? There's ultimately really no benefit except blowing off a little bit of steam by going to a party, and staying all night hanging around with the drunk people, right? There's not a lot to gain from that. There's not a lot that's going to add to your ability to, either make money, get better grades, or become a better athlete. There's not a lot there to work with, okay? So, let's skip that. Skip that part of the equation, right? And all the rest of that extra shit doesn't even come your way, all right? As far as sexual assault is concerned, if you are a male and or female, and your partner tells you no, I don't care if you're playing or not. Stop. All right? Stop. Because what's going to end up happening is playing's going to turn into that accidental hit or kick or punch, right? And you told them no. Or that fight is no longer going to be in them, because they're worn out and tired. They told you no, but you kept going because they were just too exhausted to fight you off, right? Because they wrestle around and play around with you so long that they're actually tired. They're literally tired, so they can no longer fight you off, right? But you keep going thinking that it's a joke, thinking that they're playing, right? So the minute you hear no or stop, then that means you need to stop. Any type of resistance that you get, especially with how delicate this whole sexual assault thing has been, sexual harassment thing, like, it should be automatic. Okay, it should be automatic. When you hear no or stop, it is over. Playing or not. That is the rule going forward. You do not, under any circumstance, continue to play with a young lady or joke around with a young lady in any kind of playful, sexual manner. You don't get to do that. And after she tells you to stop, it's over. Hey, you said stop. I don't want no problems. I'm going to go ahead about my business. I'm going to go chill, sit over here, do my homework or read my book, till you get back into your thing again or whatever we going to do it's not going to involve anything like that because you already said stop. And you know, you want to sense it, make your ears sensitive to that stop. As soon as they say stop, quit, playing or not, right? Because there's an element of that will catch you by surprise if you do not allow yourself, if you can't discipline yourself enough to say, hey, you know, she said stop or she said no, right? So I need to back off, right? That should be second nature. All right, that should be second nature, playing or not, because nobody's gonna listen when the authorities get involved. Excuse me, nobody's gonna want to hear we was just playing. Oh, we was just playing a game. You know, they're not gonna want to hear that. Okay, so with that being said, I think I'm just gonna stop right there because I don't want the energy of that to come off the wrong way. And just the way that I'm feeling now is like, you know, it's not fruitful. All right. And I want the messages to always be positive, you know, so that you can build and uplift on. But I don't have a lot of positive things to say about the situation. So I tried to keep it as positive as I could. But it's, you know, because I'm holding back on words and, you know, I'm trying not to say certain things. And I don't want to do that. I want to be able to just talk and, you know, because it's an ongoing situation, you know, there's certain things I can say and there's certain things I can't say. So, but what I want you to take away from this video, right, is the message to the young men is, one, you do not take the drunk girl home that nobody knows. Okay, that is a setup. All right, there's no other way that I can put it. All right, that's a red flag all day long. All right, all day long. Number two, it doesn't matter if you're joking around or not. If you're playing around with a young lady and she tells you to stop, or she says no, she doesn't want to do it, stop. I don't care if she's playing or not. Leave, take a break, come back, read a book, take a cold shower, something to get you out of that situation for the moment. Let it cool down for an hour or two, 30 minutes or so, and maybe y'all can start back up joking around or playing. But when you hear stop, you need to stop immediately. There is no waiting time. There's no, oh, I just wanted to see if she was serious and all that. No, she was serious. When she said no, if she said stop, leave her alone. All right, leave her alone. And two, by all means, keep your hands to yourself. Remove yourself from the situation if you feel like things are going to go south. All right. Always have a backup plan. And remember, if you have any potential of doing great and wonderful things, people are going to be watching you. People are going to be targeting you because they feel like you're going to be making a lot of money and they want some of it. All right? Everybody wants a piece of the pie and they'll do anything to try to get it. All right. So listen, this was a message to the young men. I just wanted to leave you guys with that because that was a situation that kind of hit home for me. And I just, you know, I don't know. I just think that it had to be said tonight. And I just wanted to kind of give you guys a warning, you know, so you can know that these things are going on. And just don't, you know, because of your upbringing or, you know, you were taught to be hospitable to women, it can kind of get you in a leery place. All right. So listen, y'all take it easy, man. You live life to the fullest and try not to do too much. Peace. Do.